Hey, do you know what a wedding symbolizes and what the purpose of a wedding is? Well, it is the beginning of a relationship, a covenant where a man and a woman come together and they reflect the relationship that we have with God.
And we just got married a month ago. So God's hand was in that whole entire weekend. And we just thought it would be beneficial to other believers to hear how God really blessed that weekend.
Starting with God's protection over us that entire weekend, there was a really cool story with Alina who went to go pick up her friend from the airport when
We were on the highway and there was a man in front of us in a truck. And in the bed of his truck, there were some planks of wood. And as I'm driving behind it, I'm like, this does not look safe.
a
The
Final
way,
Destination
yeah,
style.
kind of
Yeah.
scary. So I didn't really think much of it. But just at some point, I ended up going to the next lane, but we're still behind him a little bit. And of course, one of those planks ends up snapping and misses our car like by this much. And I was just thinking, had I not moved over, like it would have pierced our windshield or something would have
Oh,
happened.
would have been
Terrible.
horrible.
Um, so just in those little ways, like I wasn't even really thinking about the fact that I moved over,
Yeah.
but God just protected us in that way.
Yeah, it makes you wonder in the spiritual realm what's going on.
Yeah.
Because we all have guardian angels, he has the heavenly host around us, and we have no idea what's going on there. So, again, God's protection right off the bat that Thursday, heading into our wedding weekend, for we were getting married on the Saturday, and that was Thursday. And also, the weather that he provided was amazing.
Yeah.
I'll let you,
Yeah.
yeah.
That same day that I was picking my friends up from the airport was a Thursday, and it happened to be terrible weather. And part of our wedding was going to be outside. So we were just praying for the past 6 months that the weather
I
that day
know.
would be great.
Having a winter wedding always a little sketchy.
Yeah. Well, any outdoor wedding,
Yeah,
you
you
never
never know.
know what you're going to
Well,
get.
in Texas, either in the summer it's going to be 120 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
In the winter, you're taking your chances of a windstorm, but
Yeah.
it all worked
So,
out. So
so yeah, Thursday was windy, it was cold, it was rainy, terrible day for any outdoor events. But Friday was a beautiful, gorgeous day, and we had a family and friends event that happened to be outside. And that whole day was just lovely and perfect. And then, of course, Saturday was another great,
oh, gorgeous.
perfect 60-degree
Yeah.
weather for our wedding ceremony and so beautiful. And
But
what's ironic is the day that we left for our honeymoon, the
so the
next
next day, so
day,
Sunday,
Sunday, it happened to snow
snow and
and there was a dust storm.
yeah, complete. So you had this little window Thursday and Friday that
No,
we
Friday and
needed.
Saturday.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday that we needed. That was perfect weather for us. So again, whether there was a storm on Saturday on our wedding, we would have made it work. God would have been glorified no matter what. But we praise Him for the little things like that, protecting Alina and her friend driving on the freeway and providing amazing
Yeah.
weather for this event. So, our sole intention of the wedding was to bring people closer to Christ, that they can experience and feel His love for us through our love for each other. Our wedding was a little bit different, where we did not have the orthodox, normal type of wedding with bridesmaids and groomsmen.
Groomsmen.
I gave the message at the wedding. I felt called to do so. If I'm going to be a leader of this marriage, I should lead our wedding and give the gospel. Did that. Alina then gives a little message in her vows, which is so beautiful here. I'll let her talk about this
Yeah.
part.
So, of course, procrastinator me, the night before, I realized I hadn't written my vows yet. And then the Lord gave me an idea because I had been writing letters to my future husband for 7 years before I met Matt. And I had written 39 letters. And if you know anything about like biblical numbers, the number 40 represents kind of like a completion of like trials and testing. And so I thought it would be symbolic to make my vows that final 40th letter in his collection of future husband letters. So in my vows, I was able to share that and exemplify that like God had been working in this
Yeah,
relationship for
for
years,
years. Yeah.
and not even in ways that like I understood. And so what something that I really took away from the wedding and getting married is that we have no idea in what ways that God truly works in our lives, not just between me and Matt, but
Yeah.
in everybody's lives.
We have no idea. And we have no idea whose lives we touch. And our purpose of this wedding was to touch people and for them to draw closer to Christ. And the most encouraging thing about this wedding was witnessing family members and friends actually feel that love and see changes in certain family members uh, on
Yeah,
both sides.
like with my dad, I know he had a hard time like accepting and letting me go.
Well, yeah,
And so I,
a California guy with long hair in Texas,
yeah,
he didn't
and
like
I'm
that
from
idea.
Texas,
Yeah,
so there we go.
yeah.
But I was nervous that at the wedding he would, be a little shut down. But it was the complete opposite. He finally was able to let go
Soft,
and
yeah.
release me to Matt, and he had like the best time of his life. And it was just so full of joy that truly the only explanation is that God changed his heart and changed his mind.
Yeah, and the greatest encouragement for me was having a person after person come up and point out how our wedding was Christ-centered. That was the number one comment that we had was Christ was at the center of this wedding. And that was the greatest encouragement for us because that was our intention. Another thing God really showed us was how he uses the ripple effect, how he will use an event, he will use individuals to touch someone else that we have no idea about. A good example of this was my friend Justin, who lived in California, moved to Austin, Texas last year. He then came to the wedding. He flew out and had a great time. It was a blessing to see him. He was going to fly back to Austin that Sunday morning, and I guess his wife was supposed to log in for him or something. There was a miscommunication. So he got pretty bad seats on the airplane. I think it was Southwest, where you have to, like, whatever. And because of that, he was kind of annoyed, frustrated, whatever, because he had the very last seat now. And God used that to touch someone else because I guess he was sitting back there reading his Bible on the way back to Austin. And there was I think he was 17, 18-year-old kid sitting next to him, and he kept looking at what he was reading. And I think Justin noticed that and asked him, started talking to him, and the kid mentioned Justin reading the Bible. And at this point, I guess the kid opened up about his struggles with homosexuality and talking to him. So then Justin was able to really give the gospel and how Jesus forgives and he frees you and he can, take things away and work through things. But just awesome how without this entire event, that kid would not have been given the gospel by Justin. Like little things like that, you have no idea what's going on, but that is how God operates.
So those were just some ways that God really blessed our wedding weekend, blessed us and blessed others. And I'm sure in many more ways that we don't even know and maybe won't know until we're in heaven. But um, it just showed us that when we put God at the center of anything, when he's our focus, he will show up, and he wants to show up and provide for us.
Yeah, he wants you to live by faith. And this whole wedding event, wedding weekend, our relationship for the last year, living long distance, has really taught us to live by faith. But now with that, life moves on, and now we have to continue living by faith. So with that, we hope this video was encouraging to you guys, and we want to start making some more videos together and starting our website, which we will talk about more in future videos. But with that, guys, we love you all so much. God bless, and remember, the just shall live by faith.